The lost maiden of Salem. Dawn unfolded slowly over the outer kingdom, washing the cracked cobblestones in a pale, silvery light. Morning mist drifted between the narrow alleys, brushing the bare feet of passers-by and softening the harsh edges of poverty. These streets belonged to the forgotten, beggars, wanderers, and broken souls who clung to survival by the thinnest threads. Among them was a thin young woman known only as Courroix. Her skin, though naturally beautiful and deep in tone, was dulled by dust and hardship. Her hair, thick, tightly curled, and once vibrant, had grown into a tangled, unkempt afro. Her clothes hung loosely and were patched so many times that their original color had long since vanished. She held her battered tin cup to her chest, the sole proof she was permitted to beg here. She kept her head down until a voice unlike any she had ever heard drifted into the quiet. Aisa. It was deep, calm, almost familiar. Courroix's head snapped upward. Standing before her was a nobleman, a man whose very presence seemed too refined, too radiant for a place as bleak as this. His golden hair caught the faint light, his fair skin seemed to glow, and his eyes, those silver-gray eyes, watched her with unsettling gentleness. A flicker of confusion crossed her face before instinct took over. She snatched her empty cup in a swift movement, clutching it tightly as she rose. "What do you want from me?" she demanded. "Who is Aisa? If this is a trick to take my cup, you shall not have it. I have permission to beg on these streets, and this cup is my only proof." She backed away from him, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and defiance. The man repeated the name softly. "Aisa." This time, Courroix glared at him as if he were mad. "I do not know why you call me by that name. My name is Courroix, though I cannot recall how it came about. Perhaps it is because of the darkness of my skin. I remember very little of my past, but that is of no significance. If you wish to give me a coin, do so. If not, leave so others may pity me." Before the nobleman could speak, another voice burst sharply into the moment. "Your Highness, we must leave at once. I do not know why you must speak to such a wretched person." Courroix flinched. She knew that tone well. She had heard it countless times from those who despise the poor. But his words struck her harder than the insult itself. "Your Highness." Her heart lurched. She stared again at the nobleman, taking in his expensive garments, the quiet authority in his posture. Everything about him suddenly made sense, and yet made no sense at all. He did not acknowledge his companion's cruelty. Instead, he extended his hand to her. "Come with me, Aisa. You do not belong here." Courroix scoffed, though her voice wavered with uncertainty. "You must think me a fool. I may not remember my past, but I know enough to fear men who show kindness without cause. I will not fall for your tricks." The man beside the prince erupted. "How dare you accuse the crown prince of wicked intentions?" "Hush, Petros," the prince said quietly without raising his voice. The command was soft, yet it carried the weight of unquestioned authority. Petros fell silent immediately. Courroix's breath caught. Are you truly the crown prince of Salem?" "Prince Zova," she whispered. The warnings of Zebub, her benefactor, her jailer, echoed in her mind. "The royals wish to lock away beggars like you. If they find you, you will disappear forever." "Have you come to seize me? To lock me away in the dungeons?" Prince Zova shook his head gently. "I have no desire to see you in a dungeon, nor do I wish to seize you. If you trust me, I shall tell you all about yourself. I intend only to restore you to your rightful place beside me." His words felt impossible, and yet deep within her something stirred, something she did not understand. After a long, trembling moment, Courroix placed her thin, dark hand in his. The prince's touch was warm. Petros looked as though he might explode, but he said nothing. Courroix allowed them to lead her to the carriage, a luxurious, velvet-lined marvel that sat like a jewel upon the broken street. She climbed in nervously, sinking into the soft seat opposite the prince. Every scent, every texture, every flicker of lantern light inside felt unreal. As the carriage wheels began to roll, she dared a glance at the prince. His golden hair gleamed, framing features sculpted with noble grace. His form was athletic, powerful, yet held with gentleness. When she lifted her gaze fully, she found him already watching her. Her heart stumbled. His eyes, she felt she had known them once. Petros sat rigidly beside the prince, his dark hair and sharp features set in a hard scowl. "Your Highness," Petros said bluntly, "she has no life gem. She cannot enter the inner kingdom. She must have sold her gem to the lord of the underworld, as most beggars do. Or perhaps she never had one." Life gems. Kurwa felt a sting of shame. Every citizen of Salem carried one, glowing in the heart, marking them as belonging to the kingdom. Without one, a person could not enter the true realms of Salem, not since the master life gem had been stolen. Kurwa remembered nothing of her past, and nothing of why she had no gem. Prince Zova's response was determined. "She shall be my guest at the southern castle. And, Petros, you shall treat her honorably." Petros bowed stiffly. When they arrived, Kurwa was overwhelmed by the majesty of the southern castle. Marble columns rose like frozen waterfalls, golden lanterns flickered warmly, and servants, though visibly startled, hurried to obey the prince, who commanded that his guest be cared for. She was led to a magnificent chamber where a great mirror revealed her reflection. She recoiled. Her dark skin, once radiant, was hidden beneath dust and grime. Her eyes looked hollow from hunger. Her curly hair sat in a tangled halo of neglect. She had never hated her appearance more. Yet the maidservants approached her with gentle smiles. A warm bath filled the air with fragrant steam. They washed her carefully, combed through her curls with skilled hands, and styled her natural hair in a way she'd never imagined possible. Soft, shaped, regal. She watched in awe as they wove oils, pins, and gentle twists into a crown fit for royalty. Her skin gleamed. Her curls shone. Everything she thought ugly was revealed as glorious. They dressed her in an exquisite gown, soft, elegant, perfect. When they held the mirror before her, she gasped. She looked like a child of nobility. She looked like someone treasured. She looked like someone who might indeed have been called Aisa. They led her into the banquet hall. She held her breath. Petros gazed at her as though she were a different person. Prince Zova, however, smiled with quiet familiarity, as if this transformation simply revealed the person he had always known her to be. "Come now, Aisa, and dine with me, and I shall tell you all about yourself." "I have told you, I am not Aisa, but Kurwa," she whispered. But he only nodded, offering her the chair beside him. She tried to eat gracefully, though hunger gnawed at her. She felt the eyes of both men watching her every move. Fear whispered that she was in danger, but another whisper, deep and warm, told her she was safe. The prince called gently, "Aisa." She sighed. "I do wish you would cease calling me that silly name." Petros' scowl returned instantly. The prince simply smiled, removing the locket from his neck. He opened it, and the candlelight glinted off a tiny painting inside. Kurwa's breath froze. It was her, younger, lovelier, regal. "If you desire, Aisa, I shall tell you who you truly are." And he did. He told her everything, every precious, painful detail. She had once lived in the palace. She had possessed a life gem. She had been loved deeply by the prince. The king himself had chosen her as a daughter. She was to be given the master life gem as the prince's future bride. Jealous enemies had deceived her. Someone had lured her into meeting the king of the underworld. She had been tricked into stealing the master life gem, believing it was insignificant. When she gave it away, she lost her own life gem and her memories. She had been banished not to punish her, but to protect her. The prince had placed a protective barrier around her. He had waited for the day he could restore her. Kurwa listened, overwhelmed, her heart twisting painfully. Could such a tale be true? Later that night, she lay awake in her luxurious bed, tossing and turning. Her mind raced with confusion and fear. Then, she heard a noise at the window. She sat upright, heart pounding, as a crooked figure climbed through. His eyes were crossed, his grin oily and familiar. Zeba, the man who had helped her become a beggar, who had taken 60% of her earnings, who always seemed to appear from shadows. "How did you find me?" "My master knows all things," Zebub said smugly. "He sees you are with the prince, and he makes you an offer. Convince the prince to meet him tomorrow. Bring him to our usual spot. If you do, a treasure chest shall be yours. Kurwa's eyes widened at the promise. Zebub leaned close, his breath foul. And how do you know the prince is not plotting against you? Better the devil you know. His words echoed like poison. Her heart wavered. In the end, she agreed. Zebub made her swear, over and over, that she would not fail him. When he finally slipped back through the window, Aisa sat trembling in the flickering candlelight, torn between fear of the prince, fear of Zebub, and fear of the unknown. This was the moment her fate shifted once again. This was the moment the shadows began to close in.